what is written there. In Acts 5, again, you may be drifting, or you are drifting into hell or into the lake of fire if you lie. Somebody may say that, well, because it's necessary that I lie because to keep my job. Well, God says if you lie, you are going there. And let's give an example of what happened. Here it is Ananias, chapter 5, verse 1 and following. But a man named Ananias, with his wife Sapphira, or Sapphira, anyhow we say it, sold a property, or a piece of property too. And with his wife's knowledge, he kept back for himself some of the proceeds, which means lied, and brought only a part of it and laid it at the apostles' feet. But Peter, the apostle Peter, said, Ananias, why has Satan filled your heart to lie to the Holy Spirit and to keep back for yourself part of the proceeds of the land? So, what we are learning is that, of course, sometimes we say that, oh, what happened in the Bible, in the scriptures, it's not happening now, so, and so we trample on God's grace and we lie. But God is telling us that if you lie, you are drifting into the lake of fire. It's not that you are there. You are like inching yourself closer to it, and God is saying we should turn back. And verse 4, while it remained, this is the apostle Peter still speaking, while it remained unsold, did it not remain your own? Was it not yours? And after it was sold, was it not at your disposal? Why is it that you have contrived this deed in your heart? You have not lied to man, as we all think. We're lying to our brother, sister, father, mother, pastor, elder, leader, and we think, oh, nobody knows. And we lie to the government, we lie to other things. And we think God doesn't know. You have not lied to man, but to God. And actually in the verse 3, Peter is saying, or asking, why has Satan filled your heart? So any problem, any issues that we have, we always think that, oh, I just did it. It's not I just did it. It's Satan. Satan is always trying to invade our holiness, our spirituality, our godliness, and sort of add the wrong thing and cause us to sin, cause us to rebuke, cause us to do things that, to make us stubborn, to make us do so many things. So all these things, they are not natural. They are all from the devil, and so we have to always realize that any issues we have, it is Satan. Satan is the person who is causing all these things. And so when Ananias, verse 5, Ananias heard these things, and he fell down and breathed his last, which means he died. And great fear came upon all who heard of it. Then the young man came into, so let me jump to the next place. And then verse 7. After an interval, which means they had a long service, all day service, they were still in the church, of about 3 hours, his wife came into the same place where they had gathered to worship, not knowing what had happened, which means that the wife didn't go to church with the husband at the same time. The wife came 3 hours later. And Peter said to her, tell me, Sapphira, whether you sold the land for so much. And she said, oh, yes, we did. Yes, Pastor, yes, we did, Apostle. But of course, while she was saying it, what happened to her? But Peter said to her, how is it that you have agreed together to test the Spirit of the Lord? Behold, the feet of those who buried your husband are at the door, and they will carry you out. Immediately she fell down at his feet and breathed her last. So And when the young men came in and saw and found her dead, they carried her too. So that's one. Anyway, then let's go to Revelation 21, because that's where the thing is, just so we see what will happen, because all of these point to the fact that, well, whatever may happen. So in Revelation 21, verse 8, I think we've quoted this many, many times. Revelation 21:8 says, "But as for the cowardly, the faithless or the unfaithful, the detestable, as for murderers, the sexually immoral, sorcerers," you see all those into secret societies, all those things they are doing, the immoral, the idolaters, and all liars, their portion will be in the lake that burns without that burns with fire, which means on sea it will continue forever, and sulfur. So here is fire and sulfur, which means it's going to be too much. It's going to be more than the fires that we see in this world, which is the second death. So, amen. So all of this, again, it's helping us to know that you are drifting, I am drifting, we are drifting into sin if we live in sin. So, we have just read this question 3 now, or comment number 3, living in sin, which we have identified in Ephesians 4:25-32. Look at all the lists that are listed there. What are the lists saying? It says, be angry. If you're angry and you sin, what it means? You are drifting into the lake of fire. If you don't change, if you steal, you are drifting into the lake of fire. If you have corrupt words, should I say, if you swear, if you use filthy language, if you are doing all those things, where are you? You are drifting into the lake of fire. If you grieve the Holy Spirit, what are you doing? You are drifting into the lake of fire, into hell. And so, all the lists that we identified in Ephesians 5, I didn't even go to Galatians 5, but these are considered the works of the flesh. When you have the works of the flesh, that's meaning all of those things will drift people into the lake of fire. And it's so much. And when you have bitterness, you are drifting into the lake of fire. When you have wrath, you are drifting into the lake of fire. When you have anger, you are drifting into hell. When you have all this evil speaking, you are drifting into the lake of fire. When you have ulterior motives, you are drifting into the lake of fire. When you are not kind to one another, you are drifting into the lake of fire. If you are unwilling to forgive, you are drifting into the lake of fire. When you are unwilling, of course, when it comes to forgiveness, sometimes we have to also clarify. The Lord Jesus Christ actually gave us the commandment and instruction that if you have an issue with somebody and you're going to worship God, leave whatever you are doing, Matthew 5, and go and settle matters with the person. That's fine. But, and also in Luke 17, the Lord Jesus Christ talks about the fact that if your brother sin, forgive him. If he comes and says, I'm sorry for what I did, forgive him, he comes again. But the question now is that if the person doesn't realize, if the person doesn't agree that he or she has sinned, what do? You've done your part. So you do your part and let it be. So in Matthew 5, God is telling us that leave your gifts at the by the altar and go and settle matters before you come and worship and come and serve and come to offer. So basically, God is saying that do what you need to do, otherwise you will end up in the lake of fire. So if you have to forgive, forgive. If you have to do everything, otherwise you are drifting. And then, what else? Number 4, fornication. If you say you are a Christian and you are fornicating, boyfriend, girlfriend, you are drifting into the lake of fire. And God has said, let's not do that. Of course, what did the Apostle Paul say? 2 Corinthians 12, 20 and 21. He admonished the Christian that don't get involved with these things. Contentions, jealousies, you are drifting into the lake of fire. Outbursts of wrath, selfish ambitions, backbitings. Oh, how many of us don't backbite? Whisperings. Backbiting will drift us into the lake of fire. It is not maybe, it is what this is the script, it's are all part of the works of the flesh. Backbiting, we do it because we just feel like doing it. But who is causing us to do it? The devil. Again, the devil is behind all of these things, and he is just pushing us, drifting us into the lake of fire with him because he knows he's going there. He knows. It's not that he knows, because he reads the Bible, he reads the scriptures. He knows everything written in the scriptures from Genesis 1 to Revelation. But he says, oh, I'm not going alone. What do people do? Sometimes people who commit crimes or sin in this world, once they commit it and they are arrested, what do? They start talking. They say, oh, no, prosecutor, this person is also involved. So don't just, I'm not going alone. I'm not going down alone, as they say. So then and sometimes people will say, they have a term they use. Somebody throws somebody under the bus. Like, okay, the person has revealed and said, oh, it's this person. And so all of those, and when you are involved with those things, you are drifting into the lake of fire.